Welcome to Wizard Team, a Black magical podcast for Black magical stories.
Hi everyone, it's Bayana and Porshèa, embarking on a journey through the many fantasy stories written by and about Black people. Currently, we're reading Amari and the Despicable Wonders by B.B. Alston, and today we are discussing chapters 19 through 21.
But before we get into all that, let's talk about what happened previously on Wizard Team. So, first of all, finally, the Bureau is out of Harlow's hands because guess what? Homegirl is now a kidnap victim, and she's going to sit on that. We'll learn more about that later this episode. Quentin's fame goes a long way in one clearing through people like the magicians, like whenever they are aware that he's in a building, they kind of freeze up. Two, whenever he's getting himself reinstated and has special agent, he's just skipping everything because everybody's just hand over foot ready to serve him, as long as they get some of that sweet Quentin special celebrity time throughout the Bureau. And it's just working out really well for him and also for Amari and them, as he's able to like push through some of their needs, which includes interviewing some very special people at the Bureau. We also see Peekaboo decide on his actual haunting assignment, and wouldn't you know that his haunting designee is Jaden, and Jaden doesn't know how to feel about that. He don't know anything that goes along with that, and we're all just along on the journey with both Jaden and Peekaboo. Amari and her friends try to learn as much as they can about the Wonders, and because of that, they're able to interview both the director of the Department of Spies and Secrets, and then off page, we know that Elsie is speaking to the director of her department. Through the lens of Amari and Jaden as they're in the Department of Spies and Secrets, we learn that like it sounds like a fun time over there, but your memory will be wiped, so you don't really need to remember the fun you had along the journey. And overall, like based on all the different things that are happening through the Bureau and all that, like the way that the Bureau holds power, the way that the Bureau cedes power, the way that people are interacting with that power and the Bureau infrastructure itself, things be real problematic over there, and we're not happy with that.
So, chapter 19. While Amari, Jaden, and Elsie try to process the true danger of the Wonders, they go to visit Lara in Supernatural Health, only to find that they've been barred by Director Van Helsing. So they go to lunch instead, where they watch Bane, the Wraith, and his homies getting arrested by Quentin and Magnus on a live stream, then get a request to FaceTime from Lucas and Hannah. It turns out that Dylan has freed the magicians that Harlow imprisoned, which has gained him more internal support within the league. He's called a league dream meet, which will be the perfect time for stealing the mural, but it isn't something that Lucas and Hannah can do alone, so they're asking for support. Amari and her friends go looking for Quentin to ask if the Bureau can help, but they reunite with Lara instead. On her suggestion, they go talk to Magnus, who agrees to bring the matter to the War Council, and then they go visit Fiona, where Amari is finally able to catch her, Quentin, and Maria up on everything they've learned and their next steps. But Quentin seems hesitant to believe and or act on her intel.
Yeah. So to start this whole chapter off, let's just talk about the return of someone that I love to hate, and that is Director Van Helsing, who we don't see in person, but his directive in this moment when so much is at stake is that Amari being at the top of the list of people who cannot visit Lara as she recovers from her deadly magician blast. And I'm just like, yes, that is your child and you have your own prerogative, but this is so much of an example of why I find it so easy to just binge director Van Helsing. Like there's so much else
Mhm.
going on, and this is what you're a whole director of a whole department that needs so many overhauls and things like fixed, and yet you spend your time doing petty crap like this to a 13-year-old. I can't, and that's why
So
I can
yeah,
spend
it's so
more time
ridiculous.
here. But I really just he can shove it
Yeah.
and then stay where he shoved it.
Agreed.
Um, Next on my things from this chapter, it's so funny because off screen I was talking to Bayana about how I'm constantly irritated in different levels. Um, in, in this chapter, there were two things that made my stomach churn. Like, this is unappealing. I'm not gonna move with this. One was the adolescent meal choices, and it's so funny because like BB
Child.
Alston is a full adult, and I know he's writing this from the viewpoint of like what how people how I know I moved crazily.
Yeah.
If there's a buffet, oh, like, my plate's not gonna make no sense. It's gonna make sense to my taste
Mhm.
buds, but not to like what my body's nutrients or like. Maybe I'll put a salad in
Mhm.
here because I'll F with a salad, but that's it. These kids, and Amari notes they haven't eaten very much while they've been with Mrs. Chamberlain's. So they, as soon as they get around buffet, they're over here. She's over here just lauding the fact that they're able to finally do a trifecta of the best foods. What is this trifecta? Hot dog, pizza, and corn dog. My stomach. I would never have eaten that then because I don't F with hot dogs to be honest. But just the idea of eating all three of these things in one
Come on.
go.
Like, first of all, that's 2 hot dogs. Don't forget the cheese. The deep friedness. There's so much oil in that whole meal.
The
So much
greasiness of the
oil.
pizza. The
Oh my
like
gosh.
my stomach hurts
It's
just thinking about it.
so I like, kids are so wild. Like, my sister will just, like, eat the craziest things, and I'm just like you said, it's like, yeah, I remember being able to do that. Now the thought of it, I'm immediately I'm done. My stomach hurts already. Kids
And
just be
that's like
doing
a
anything.
literal, they're doing anything. That's a literal stomach like nausea, like of just thinking.
Mhm.
Then like the like psychological nausea that I have for the Black Mirror-esque choice and approach that this world has to law enforcement, where
Mhm.
people are used to watching the celebrity that is vanquished. I don't know how, and like I know that the bureau like office has like where you can watch agents were all over the world. I don't know how well this is brought, how frequently they broadcast that out, but I know when Vanquish isn't in like on the move, they're sending cameras with them some of the times. And this one time when they do this Bane raid, they're sending it's Magnus and Quentin and 2 million viewers
It's wild.
live, not post. No, this is all a live viewership.
Mhm.
Watching someone else get arrested.
It's just like, yeah, it's extremely sensationalized, and like the propaganda is so real.
And so like just ingrained in the culture. Like and look,
Mhm.
the girl I have been I feel like I've lived a life where I've been here for the popularization of the internet and like knowing what the internet was before it became like a essential like tool, and like now what it is after all the like changes that have been made over time with it,
Mhm.
but also like with reality TV. And so yeah, Cops was a thing, but I never really cared for Cops. And then we go from
Mhm.
like Cops to like propaganda TV, scripted TV shows, into like this, where it's like, this is someone who orchestrated a whole government conspiracy, treason. And
Mhm.
like, and I like, okay, like there's a lot of stuff going on. Like, they have like the Real Housewives of Beyond the Undead and all that stuff. But like, this is, I feel, where does the bridge too far happen? Like, where do you draw the
Yeah.
line?
Yeah.
and it's like government affairs. So it's just it boggles my mind. So that's why
Yeah.
I mentioned Black Mirror here because it feels something like Black Mirror would
It's
pose this as a
very
moral
yeah.
quandary.
Yeah. And I guess I do wonder how much they feel the need. I think it's hard because we don't see how it was before Amari got there. Like obviously we know that Quentin, like that he had his own shoes and like his own, so obviously the cult of celebrity around law enforcement is a feature. Also wonder if are they ramping it up because Harlow had to had such a strong reach or whatever as like the director of what is it? Full truths and half cover ups, something like that, or half truths and full cover ups. Um and so because she had that like PR on her side, is it like is there like I think it is the propaganda part for sure, but I also wonder how much of it is also like trying to counteract all the stuff that Harlow kind of was putting on the airwaves.
Yeah.
It still feels icky to me though. Like I
Yeah.
literally I'm like you're eating your corn dog pizza hot dog and watching cops be cops. Like it's weird.
And I feel like it has to happen had to have happened enough for Vanquish for them to be as popular. Like for him to have their own shoes, like people have been
Right.
watching and investing and like I wanna like you see how he zipped through on his sky sprints
Mhm.
and did that like I wanna make moves like Eric Peters. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like
And also like the fact that like he's the one who addresses the press after Magnus is the assistant
mhm.
director of the
Yeah.
department and it's Quentin who's talking to the press and like so he's
Yeah.
clearly more accustomed to that.
Yeah, he's the media trained person apparently. So like all
Yeah.
like it's just icky. Like my stomach churned from the food and then from the like actual what's happened, the ethics and the lack of ethics around
Mhm.
this.
Mhm.
Um then like so something that I another a question that needs answering, not but like just another just like it's very much a houseway moment is like whenever Amari and Jaden and Lara and Elsie take the elevator, Lucy on their way somewhere. Lucy asked for a signed, an autographed poster of Vanquish, and Elsie's like, "Oh yeah, girl, I'll give you one." Baby, you're an elevator. What's gonna keep someone from just taking the effing poster?
She said, "I need the
Like, I
poster
know you don't have
hanging
that
up
much
above
trust in the
my"
bureau.
ridiculous.
There's no thieves in
And
the bureau.
you're
People are
a
thieving.
building elevator, like, why does a kid have to donate her signed
That's easy
poster to you?
access. What are you gonna do? Yell at me? Hey, hey, put that.
Just
Like, what are
ask
you
Quentin and
gonna do?
Maria to sign your wall,
And then
you
get
know?
some kind of like everlasting like some kind of spray or something on it to keep it on your elevator forever. Like
Exactly.
I don't get it. And how are you gonna see it? Like does the elevator see?
Right.
Like you can talk, but can you?
I think maybe it's the status, it's like the, "See, I got the Vanquish
I'm the
poster."
exclusive elevator.
Ugh, silly.
I love how silly this is, but also just like, but how? But like
Yeah.
thievery at the very least. Okay.
Mhm.
And then my final note for this chapter is I gotta put it up for Magnus for stating what seems like the overarching theme for the series, um, and like just like summarizing it so succinctly because he basically says that Amari is fighting decades, nigh centuries of anti-magician prejudice.
Mhm.
And not only is this a battle that she's facing with the supernatural world itself or within the bureau itself, the call is coming from inside her own house,
Mhm.
from her big brother that made her want to enter here in the first place with Quentin.
Mhm.
And it's just like, thanks. I mean, I'm again, thanks for summarizing it in one thing of like what Amari has against her. But knowing that like someone who is supposed who's always been for you is against part of your identity, and then
Mm-hmm.
trying like, why do I have to try? It feels insulting at the very least to feel like you have to try to persuade someone to
Mm-hmm.
love a part of your identity when they've
Yeah.
supposed to love you in full totality anyway.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think we'll get into it more in the next chapter, but like, yeah, I have a lot of feelings about that.
Yeah. I
And
just
also
wanted to
whose
bring it up like that
responsibility it
that
is.
scene.
Yeah, and like whose responsibility it is to actually like bridge that gap.
Yeah. And I want to bring it up like note that Magnus is the one who like just like staked it plain for
Mhm.
Amari before or like it goes deeper. I love how one it's like it's very much like a setup where like BB Alston is like kind of giving you the crumbs you need to have the full discussion
Mhm.
whenever we have it in this episode, but like also like sometimes you need someone to speak stuff plain to you so you'd be like, that is actually exactly what
Like
my
that's what's
trial and
going on.
tribulations right now. Thank you.
Mhm. And it's yeah, I think I agree. I think it is important to like state what's happening cuz like I think especially because Amari has so many emotions about it and it's hard for her to fully like not accept, but in a way accept and to really like voice exactly what it is, like what the conflict is or the source of the conflict. Like she suspects it, but she hasn't really said it up till this
Mm-hmm.
point. And so yeah, like I agree. I think it's important for and sometimes yeah, like sometimes you need that like outside person to say the thing that you've been thinking or trying to avoid thinking about.
Especially when there's mutual respect between the both of you. Like you respect their
Mhm.
insight and they respect yours. So you're like, okay, we see each
Mhm.
other. You're not and you're I know where this energy is coming from for you to state this. Like I know it's coming from a place of
Mhm.
you looking out for me. Like this is you're doing it with good intention to like
Yeah.
just lay the groundwork of like this is where we are right now.
Mhm. And like just be real about it cuz it's also hard. You can't really like fight against it if you're not real about what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Um and like shout out to Magnus. It's kind of it's rough reading his scenes knowing what's coming. Like I actually it's kind of crazy. Like reading no, did we read the we finished the Great Game before Despicable Wonders came out. Yeah, so yeah, it's just it's a rough situation. Every time he shows up I'm just like mhm. Mhm. Okay, so chapter 20. Amari and Lara go to train while they wait for the War Council's decision. Maria finally comes in with the news that the council not only didn't approve the mission to help Lucas and Hannah, but Quentin was the deciding vote. So an angry Amari races to confront Quentin, who deflects responsibility by reminding her of the Bureau's prejudice against magicians. And when Amari calls him out for his own anti-magician prejudice, he claims that while he admits that he has that prejudice, he says that he doesn't feel that way about her and Maria because they're in quotes different. Um, Feeling betrayed by her brother, Amari storms off in tears right into the bully, Tristan Davies, who decides now is the perfect time to mess with her. But Amari has reached the end of her tether, and Tristan doesn't realize that Amari got a temper. So she stuns Tristan over and over and over again until she's physically dragged away by agents. She's taken to Magnus's office, who reminds her that she and Tristan and Quentin are on the same side. But Amari is like complaining about how unfair the entire situation is, and it turns out that he agrees, which is why he not so subtly leaves his transporter to for Amari to do with as she wishes. Yeah. Before we get too deep, I did want to bring up like the in the training kind of uh scene. Amari is still like it's just kind of showing like how she's still struggling with her lack of magician powers because like I think part of the thing like we not forget but just like everyone else still has their supernatural ability. She didn't get a
Mhm,
supernatural ability. She got her magic unlocked.
mhm.
And so with the magic gone, it's not like she has another supernatural ability to lean on. So it's kind of just like she's running around with the stun stick and the sky sprint or whatever, and that's like all she has as tools. Which feels unfair, but like that's the point. Um so yeah, so it's like even though Lara is like still recovering from being cursed and everything, like she still has her supernatural ability, so she's able to, you know, whoop Amari however many times. So hopefully, like, I don't know, it's like one of those things where you kind of see her confidence being knocked down, but she also doesn't let that stop her, in which I do kind of appreciate in some ways. Um but yeah.
Yeah, like Amari and I are definitely two different people. Like, first of all, um, I was sitting on this today. But- So I've been outside more, and I say today, but like generally, like after this incident happened. So I've been outside more because I am now like living a newly single life, and I was to do like laundry, like in like the big laundry, so I had to take out some of the bigger like laundromat. And I
Mhm.
walked when I was on my way back from doing like an errand while I was already out. I walked by like I purposefully avoided where I saw some cops before. As I was walking back, I didn't recognize I was on the same block where they were before. But I was on the side where
Mhm.
they weren't like they were on one side of the street. I was on the other, so I was chilling. There's one of the cops happened two of the cops actually, but one of the cops happened to be really hot and like was like staring me down. I didn't even notice it until I got closer. And then I
Mm.
was like, oh, he's very handsome face, but he's a cop. So I just
Right.
kind of like nodded at him, but then looked at his uniform and the cars and was like pointedly like, no way. And then kept moving. And I was I remember talking to someone and them being like, what do you have against cops? And I'm like, they're cops. Like they are like and I like again I was like wrestling what is it and I'm like a cab like all cops are bad but like what is a reinforcing thought there and it's that they are you call them in to protect the property of rich folks. They're not
Mhm.
here for protecting and serving the people. They're here to protect
Mhm.
and serve the capitalist regime. So
Mhm.
there's no way I'm going to be in support of something I just can't. Like I support enough capitalist regimes without trying to. Like
Right,
I
exactly.
can't directly
That you can't actually help to do, like, you can't
do.
help but do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And
So, the
so
ones that you can help, it's
it's
like
like very like thoughtful decision making. Like let's not
mhm.
be like directly involving myself in this. Hot cop or not. And
Mhm.
so with Amari's decision to remain in this like department for law enforcement and she's had opportunities to like if she wanted to she could like transfer out. I know that she's like stayed around mostly for Quentin, but she has so many skills for so many things. We've discussed all the different departments that she might
Mhm.
be able to apply herself to.
Mm.
And so with Laura in this scene, it's like Amari acknowledges like, okay, Lara's been practicing her whole life to be an
Mhm.
agent, and I could see how she could easily just be like, I'm gonna hang it up. Like in comparison, I ain't got nothing on this. Like, why am I even sticking this
Mhm.
out? Especially without my magic, like a girl can do. And to be like to again, this is not like Amari and I are two different people because one, I would never touch law
Right.
enforcement. Like I just wouldn't do it.
Right.
But even if I had, if they like lured me in like detective skills, like I love a mystery.
Right. And, you
I
know,
would
you're looking for your brother. You
then
you
but I probably will see my way out because when I see that other people are just like they're naturally inclined to do something, and I'm like, I want to do what I feel naturally inclined good about doing, and I don't feel
mhm.
naturally good about doing this. So this whole scene where I'm like Lara's basically running circles around Amari, and Amari's just like, I'm gonna brush it off and I'm gonna keep on moving. I'm like, that's a good mindset to have. But sometimes like
Yeah.
there are checkpoints in your life for like, do I really want to do this? And I wonder if
Mhm.
she needs that. If this would be a
Yeah.
good opportunity for that. And I'm not trying to say that she
Yeah.
should be dissuaded. Like again, like, there's there's you should do what you want, and I'm not trying to like project my own completely different point of view on like law enforcement onto Amari, but
Mm-hmm.
I do wonder like if she's better suited for something than what she's like pushing herself to be good at right now.
Yeah. No,
Especially
I
because
get
she
that.
keeps going rogue. Like you're doing
Yeah.
stuff like everyone that
She's
I've
never really
seen.
did anything. The only thing she did under like like by the book was that raid, and then she didn't even do that by the book. Like she ended up adopting dude's pet and like letting him go, you know. So it's just yeah. She
And you can't be
cannot
part of the
work
system and
in the
change the
department.
system.
Yeah, and she can't work in this system without she can't be a part of this department unless the system changes. Not in any like
And
real
like the
long-term
master
sense.
souls will not like take down his house, basically. Like you can't like we
Mhm.
can't do this.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I just feel like whenever like we're talking about like rebellion and rogueness or whatever, like also carrying in mind that like she's in this place where she's trying to toe the line, because like towing the line is how you do work in this department. Like that's how they work. So
Mhm.
I question whether she actually wants, like she should be there. And I question if she'll ever have the opportunity to reevaluate and actually make a smarter decision about where she should
Mhm.
be.
Mhm.
Especially because she has people that are placed there. So it's not like she needs the in. Like she has like Laura's there. Like you just tell me what's going on over there and we'll figure it out. You know, like
Right.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
She doesn't necessarily need to be there to like accomplish her goals. Yeah. Um so Quentin. Quentin. So he again, like he deflects. Like he's like there she's asking him like, did you made the decision not to help Lucas and Hannah? And he's like, the bureau isn't ready for whoop de whoop. But it's like again, the decision fell on you. So ultimately it wasn't the bureau's decision, it was your decision. And in that case, you're a mouthpiece for the bureau. Like it was you. Um and I'm like really proud of Amari for actually calling him out on that and not just being like, okay, yeah, fine. Cause somebody had to say it at a certain point, and he's been kind of hedging his bet. He hasn't wanted to have this conversation. Um and like yeah, it needed to be said. Also, Maria just being like, "Oh, after hearing his reasoning, I understand." I'm like, "Ma'am."
Because you're steeped in anti-magician freaking like prejudice
Yeah,
yourself.
and it's
So
like,
you're probably
"Okay,
feeling guilty
sure."
about being a magician because your everyone in your entire life has said how awful magicians are, and you probably feel guilty about the fact
Mhm.
that you are one in the first place. Like
Yep,
you're not
she definitely got
even
some
she's not real, she's
internalized
not true to
even
this.
though
Yeah.
and it's also like and I get it in the sense of like she's definitely got some internalized stuff because like her family has had to hide it, but she also accepted it as a thing, right? She wasn't born into it. She accepted it. I'm sure she also feels guilty because of Dylan still. So I'm not like fully like
Mhm.
it's, I'm not mad at her, but it's an interesting thing. And then there's also something to be said about whatever the nature of her relationship with Quentin is.
Yeah.
But also I'm like, yeah, it's like it's the same as like what you were saying. He essentially says what Magna said in the chapter before about like people in the bureau are not um
In the world
they
itself.
in the world itself are anti-magician. They have a lot of things, prejudices, but also, real traumas associated with magicians. The thing is though, it's not like he's not willing to actually like change that. He is like it's the world isn't ready for a, you know, magician bureau alliance, and it's like no, that's you though. Like it's not really the world. Like the world, yes, there it's not that it's going to be easy and you make the decision and it's easy. It's just that like right now you're choosing the simpler path, and it's part of the problem. And it's maintaining those structures that are the problem and the reason why y'all aren't able to work together. So he's just, he's being a bit of a coward. I would say. And then he like puts the final nail in the coffin being like, "Oh, but you and Maria are not like the others. You're good magicians." And like, bro, as a black person. And it's like why Amari is so like feels so angry about. Like as soon as he says it, she's just like, "Dude, are you kidding me?" And it's such a like, it's like a watching your hero fall type thing and like realizing that they're flawed. But that like really shakes her because it's like, dude, this is literally the stuff that like you taught me not to do, you're doing right now.
You're not who I thought
So
you were.
mhm.
You're not
Mhm.
living up to be the person that you the model you showed me that you were that you're supposed
Mhm.
to be.
And you're supposed to
And
be, you're not actually that.
as an eldest, no one you don't want to hear that.
Mm-mm.
That's not a
Mm-mm.
great feeling. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Your whole life, all the adults are like you're, you know, you got to show up for your siblings. You got to make sure you're a good example.
Mhm.
And then your sibling confronts you and is like, you may have set an example, but that's not really you, though, bruh. This you,
Yeah, like you're not practicing what you preach.
right?
Um
Which again,
yeah.
like being on the other side of that, like I can see how you could like initially be defensive because like how dare you, but
Mhm.
then you got to reckon with it, and that's
Yeah, you
hopefully where
have
Quentin
to
will go after this.
yeah, exactly. It's like you got to look inward. You have got to.
Y-
And so Amari kind of
Yeah,
just like
I knew.
no, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just like I feel like the way that it's set up is that we knew that this confrontation was going to happen between them
Mhm.
at some point, but the tier level, like how the tiers that spring forward from like how Amari reacts is like so real, and it's just like, oh man, like
Mhm.
this is brutal. This is not.
Yeah.
This is like there's so much pent up on this, and it's not that it's just that Amari feels strongly convicted about this one particular plan. It's that she thought if there's any like she you can hear in her like her we're hearing this story from her point of view, from her perspective, her thoughts.
Mhm.
And I kind of feel like she's picked up on twinges that Quentin is harboring some anti-magician sentiment, and
Mhm.
I feel like to her a little bit that this is the final test. I like and she
Yeah.
goes in it with a positive point of view. I know
Mhm.
Quentin is going to hold me down on this vote. When he
Mhm.
doesn't,
It's like
and
a whole
she's
and then you
made
find
to
out
confront
why.
the whole thing. Yeah,
Mhm. Cuz she's also like it's not that this is the first time she's noticed it. She's just been trying to like she's like you said, like this is my brother. He's going to have my back regardless.
benefit of the
It'll be fine.
doubt.
Like I'm not going to,
Yeah.
but at a certain point now she has to. And he's also resting on the like I'm big brother. I'm the most what's the word? Like logical and I understand the nuances of the thing, but it's like you don't though. And you haven't been around and you're not willing to unlearn anything.
Like that may have been true before you went to sleep, but in this world
Right.
after. And like that's probably an insecurity he's also dealing with. It's like I'm
Mhm.
ill-equipped for some of the things that we're running into right now. And instead of saying like,
Mhm.
you know what, Amari, I really wanted to trust you. I really wanted to, but I to like if he had to come from that angle, I am feeling so ill-equipped right now. You're talking about information I simply don't have. And you know what? It
Mhm.
is on me. As the adult, I should have taken time to sit with you and debrief and get a better understanding of everything. But I've been ripping and running. So I felt this need to prove myself
Mhm.
instead of actually trying to be the person that gets all the information before running into action. They're both similar in that. They're both very
Yeah.
similar in I got enough information. I'm going to move forward with it. I'm not going to get all the details, just enough to
Mhm.
go and get action plan. Um, and I understand how, yeah. So I also want to like
Yeah.
add a note that is like kind of an aside but related. That the last time we saw the Vanquish offices, everything was upside down and topsy turvy because of like the
Mhm.
spell or whatever that they had in place. And so whenever this they mention that there's different levels to their office, I'm like, excuse me, I need more details about the layout of this office because it's
Yeah, I thought they had like a second floor or something that had
something.
like their memorabilia. Was that what it was? Or something like that. I don't
Some-
remember exactly.
I'm like, okay. Like being a celebrity has you having like, because like they mentioned, we also
Suite
see,
offices.
yeah.
Office suites.
And we also hear about Magnus's change in office in the same like episode. So it's just like seeing
Mhm.
the difference is in offices, but Magnus's office pre his directorship versus Vanquish's office since they've been celebrities. So like it precedes Magnus, who's the senior agent.
Mhm.
They got all that.
Mhm.
So talking a bit more about Quentin's celebrity and special privileges is just another note.
Yeah,
Like, and
yeah.
so like that, talking about the internalization of anti-magicianship that Lara has, like Quentin and his internalization of being an exceptional Black person, and how that's
Mhm.
pushed like a flowing into how he sees Amari and Maria. Like you said, it's very disheartening because like that happens to Black.
Mhm.
We get this all the time. Like, why are you doing this? But to be honest, I like, and again, I'm probably maybe I'm giving too much weight to Quentin and being over empathetic as an eldest. But I think it's because he's trying to cover up his insecurities by just stating whatever's coming out of his mouth instead of actually acknowledging his real deeper seated insecurities
Mhm.
that are causing him to be very like action oriented but not strategizing in a way that, again, like is he has to overcome that anti-magician stuff, and that's something that he just is not giving himself time to do. So
Yeah.
everyone needs a
Yeah.
psychologist,
I feel like
a
he definitely
therapist,
does. I
everyone
feel
needs
like yeah, I would be interested. I think right now, or at least in this book, from what I remember, it's more just like showing how famous Vanquish is and not so much like interrogating that. But I think that that's important. You know what I mean? Because we haven't, all we've done is hear about Vanquish. We haven't really seen that like reaction. So I'm curious in the following books if that's something that will come up of like this like celebrity and how that, I wouldn't say necessarily, or just how it can go to somebody's head. Doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily make you a bad person, but like just your perspective shifts because of that. And so I'm curious because it kind of feels like that's also there, that's definitely a part of whatever is going on with Quentin.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast here to tell you about Michelob Ultra Courtside. It's getting fans closer to the NBA with a chance to win prizes like courtside seats, a trip to All-Star Weekend, and much more. Check it out at MichelobUltra.com/courtside. Michelob Ultra Superior Access, Courtside 24-25 sweepstakes, no purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents 21 and up. Begins on October 1st, 2024. Ends July 1st, 2025. Multiple entry periods. Visit MichelobUltra.com/courtside for free entry deadlines, and official rules. Message and data rates may apply. Void where prohibited.
Wizard Team is part of the Black Nerds Create Collective, which provides content through the lens of critical and creative fandom. In BNC's Discord, you can not only find a channel dedicated to all things Wizard Team, but spaces to connect with other fellow nerds about stories across media, genre, and more. Join a group read, find book recommendations, and maybe even get the juice to write your own story. Just go to bnc-community.com to join.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
So Amari runs out. So after she stuns Tristan, which was honestly hilarious, but she's also
I
devastated.
mean,
So it wasn't. It was like both and of
I wish
like
I was
being
a
like
fly on
this.
the wall. I'm reading the
Yeah,
story, but I want to see it. Like I want like
yeah.
I'm like ooh ooh ooh.
Because she was
Like I
like,
just want to
look,
be.
because first of all, you see she's literally in tears. So now's the time to be stepping to her. You deserved every
Of
single
course it is,
one of
'cause
those
he's a
sons.
freaking coward. Like, he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna kick somebody when they're already down." Okay, because like,
Mm-hmm.
probably what
Make
probably
me
happened
feel
is that you saw Amari Peters run into the Vanquish offices without getting impeded, while you, Tristan, who has been their protege, can't even get into the freaking, you can't even knock gently and get
Come on.
in. So you was feeling
Fading from outside of
salty.
the club.
Mm-hmm. You can't even get
Yeah.
Maria or freaking Quentin to give you a wink. And she's over
Mm-hmm.
here just walking up in their office all boldly and stepping in, getting a counsel. She was in there for some time and then popped back out again.
Mm-hmm.
You had, so of course you're sitting there ready to say something crazy to her if she comes out looking like anything. Because how dare
Mm-hmm.
she? She's a star over
Exactly.
you? How? And that's why you got stunned.
Mm-hmm. Multiple times. But there's this
It's
quote
not
that
your
Amari
friend.
has that, right, literally. There's this quote Amari has that I kind of like, I don't know. It kind of broke my heart a little when she says, I feel like I'm right back at Jefferson Academy last summer when Emily Grant wouldn't leave me alone. I thought I was so much better than who I used to be, but maybe I'm not. What else did they expect from a magician? And I'm just like, no, babes. This is not on you. Like, that's true. You can't go around just like stunning people like generally speaking.
She's the
No.
number one stunner.
However, it's not on you. Like even the Emily Grant thing, like again, it's when she wouldn't leave you alone. It's when like
Mhm.
Tristan reading the room and choosing to do the wrong thing, right? Like it's, and you still have these pent up emotions about Quentin. It's like there's only so much it can be expected. And again, it's a structural thing. It's not on her. Like it's the way that that's setting her up to be this way.
Mhm. I just feel like, okay, we all know how I feel about villainy. And well, maybe we don't. So as a thought, it feels like, as like the quote that you gave is like real, right? But like leaving it in what else do they expect from a magician? Kind of like as a last thought there is like Amari could fully step into her villain era here. Like in
Mm-hmm.
a way that
I
is
mean,
like
that's like
not
what
like
happened with
Dylan,
Dylan.
but not like Dylan. The other way, the villain era that like sees her like, and Dylan, like, yeah, he's stepping into his power. No, step into her power as in the like demanding respect for her boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And what I got from like this her whole interaction, and all the interactions that we're discussing in this episode with her and these different men, is how part of the true mission seems to be destroying the male ego.
Mm-hmm.
From Van Helsing and him having to be deposed and like where he is currently in status. Quentin having to confront that he's being a hypocrite. And
Mm-hmm.
Tristan, like, who's like, you are exactly the person that you think you are, Tristan. If
Mm-hmm.
you're scared of not being that special, guess what, baby? You're not that special. And
Exactly.
she really could, and she really did show him that, because guess what's happening? Stunned him to the point the man couldn't breathe in front of his own friends.
Right.
And she
Amari had to be
and you're going
dragged
to trouble
away.
for it.
Like that's how many times he got
By
stunned.
adults.
They were like, "Ayo."
By adults.
Mm-hmm.
And what punishment does she get for it? Oh, go on your mission. That's what she gets.
Mm-hmm.
So Tristan,
Mm-hmm.
you are exactly as unspecial as you think you are. So the male
Mm-hmm.
egos in this series being deflated. If Amari were to step into her power and be like, I'm deflating everybody's egos, try me, baby. I am that special girl. I'm a clever
Mm-hmm.
girl. I will set things off. Play with me. Would be that to me? That'd be fun to watch. But
Yeah.
she's 13. She's not
Right.
moving that way.
One step at a time.
One step. Owning baddie status. You gotta get there.
Takes time.
But I would love to see her do it.
There was a moment where Magnus is like, so she gets taken to Magnus's office or whatever, and he comes in, and he has this moment where he reminds her that Tristan and then Quentin are on her side or on the same side. And it's the similar thing that Quentin did with director Van Helsing, and was like, don't worry about that now, we're on the same side. And it's just like, why are they not reminded the same?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why is she always the one who has to be reminded that these people who are like harming her or, hurting her in whatever way why does she have to be reminded that they're people that she should work with. Like, that's on them. It's not really on her. They need to remember that.
Yeah.
And so that part just kind of like frustrated me, but I also think that that's part of the point.
But the fact that both Magnus and Tristan said it, I mean, Magnus and Quentin said it, makes me feel like Magnus has been the, like, as him being like the advisor to Quentin, like you can see his advice using the same thinking as he did, and that Quentin probably went through a similar process of being like frustrated with how people were treating him initially, and Magnus having to remind him like, and so like now Quentin's saying the same stuff to Amari, and like I'm with you. Like, why does Director Van Helsing or Quentin and Tristan are they not sitting with it? Why is Quentin not sitting with more with like these magicians can be on your side? That's on, like, again, we've broached the Quentin needs to figure out why he's being a big hypocrite, and it's gonna take some unraveling of himself for him to get there. So yeah.
Yeah. And then Tristan and Van Helsing just need to leave.
But like again, like the infrastructure of that department like would rather is built for them to be there.
Yeah, exactly. And it's about like, again, they don't have to be reminded that they're on the same side as people. They can do what they want, and either way, like, they're good.
Just like Amari's good after she did something to Tristan. Guess what? Because
right, in this case, because it was funny because I was like irritated at Magnus, and then he was just like, well, would be a shame if I left my transporter here on the desk and left while I think about how upset I am about the War Council decision. Like, yeah, I just love that he's at the point where he's just like, I trust Amari. Like, I know you're gonna be good. And I know that I know that you're gonna do the right thing. And so him, like,
he's embodying the adult relationship that she is looking for with Quentin in a way.
Yeah, and then the fact that he like tells her that outright, like, is just very sweet.
Yeah. When I was like, oh, Magnus, because again, we know what's gonna happen in this book. And like BB, like at you for literally setting us up. Like this is a setup. You're setting us
It is.
up.
It's 100% a setup. When he calls Fiona the love of his life, like, please, sir. Relax.
Like, this is how, like, all the signs are here. Like, this is what's ridiculous. Is that all the signs are here of like before a character is taken out of a story, like you get all these bigger opportunities to like, you know what, I really is with that character, and it's like rug under your feet. Bye.
Literally.
And like, dang it. I fell for the okie doke. Like a dummy.
It's rude.
It's so rude. But it's very nice. But it's very rude. So my other, like, before we move on to the next chapter, I just wanted to note that I observed that like Amari's go-to trigger for jumping into action seems to be when there's like little/no chance in timing or alternatives. So like there's only like either you jump in and take action now, or you don't, and that opportunity may not come up. So because she basically says this is maybe our one chance to get ahead of Dylan. And that keeps being her thing of like, oh, well, only this opportunity. And there's something about like not being able to process like if there are alternatives, the adults not giving out an idea like, oh, we have different options in mind, like, you know what I mean, like the adults not having, like, you're saying no but you're not giving a backup, you're not giving like, oh, what, we can do this instead. That it's like a very specific mindset, and there's so many drawbacks to thinking that you can only like, oh, like if I only see one road ahead I have to jump on it, like, but like it puts you in a place where you're going to continually like be doing stuff, and it's like as they are, without plans, without strategy, without full information, without a lot of thought going into it, just like of the moment thought. And it's very relatable to feel like that. Like, because I often will be like, my procrastination has historically worked where I'll be like, well, I'm gonna procrastinate, and sometimes I'll get to my procrastination range. I'm like, oh, well, I only have one option left because all the things that I could have done besides this one path have all,
Right.
um,
No longer options.
ended. They're no longer there. The deadline timeline for them are over. So this is my one option. I'm gonna stick to it. But like the fact that that's her knee jerk, that's how she moves generally, um it's scary. Like that's like there's just like she needs more. She needs more opportunities and like ability to read that. Like you don't have to be foot first. You can take your time, and it may seem like initially that there's no other opportunity, but sometimes there really are. You're just not seeing it.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's talk about chapter 21. I'm calling them Team Mural Grab. They strategize around how to enact a plan, including who should go, and the final to go on a mission to for the mural. And the final crew ends up being Amari, Jaden, Peekaboo, which Peekaboo, like, why is he, he's up in here. But Peekaboo's actually he's what qualifies Jaden to go because he has,
right.
and I love this, that he's like, I died, I'm dead. Like nothing anyone throws scares me. And
Right.
I'm about it. And the fact that like not only was he like nothing that like I'm never scared, and also stuck behind his convictions, like, no, I'm never scared. Like put me in code
Yeah.
now. I loved it.
I died ready. Like, you're hilarious.
You're hilarious. But I was like, it's like, because I like hate characters who, or people who will be like, they're all about it with their mouth, but as soon as you're like, okay, well, let's go then they're like, oh, nah.
Right.
Was like, nah.
Exactly. Nah, he was serious about it. He's very serious.
And Jaden just has to be in like a 20-foot radius. So he's by association, he's got to be part of the plan. So that's fun to me. Hannah and Lucas round out Team Mule Grab because they're the only ones who really know what is happening here. So it's Amari, Jaden, Peekaboo, Hannah, and Lucas versus foul league magicians in the Siberian wilderness. All that the like ancillary characters, which end up for the purposes of this chapter, are Elsie and Lara can do to help them prep is like Lara grabs some nice fluffy Dubois coats from her room and passes them to Amari and Jaden, and then Elsie hugs them and sends them off with a hug, and then that's it.
That's it. That's all they can really do. I think, what is Elsie supposed to do? Oh, it's because she can't go because she's a dragon.
Yeah, and
it's
Lara has the cold inside, so she can't put her body through that. But again the most qualified. Like if anyone's gonna go through and whoop some butt, like it's that, but she can't do that right now.
Yeah.
So after they transport into the wilderness, they have Peekaboo use his ghostly powers. Not only for them to like be guided through the forest, because he's well lit enough to kind of like be their guiding light, which is hilarious knowing who Peekaboo is. But he grows his ghostly shape as a giant and uses that to draw the magicians away from the cabin as a distraction. But there's three of them. One of them remains behind because he's like, what's going on here? And when Lucas pops up, they go into a battle. It's looking kind of bad for Lucas, but Hannah and Amari like, this is our only chance. So they run into the cabin amid the battle between Lucas and the remaining magician, only to be thwarted by a hex on the last key, like a digital keypad that has a stone hex on it, and slowly turns Hannah into stone. And unfortunately, when that door opens after Hannah went through that major sacrifice, we have a brutally they are not only thwarted by the stone hex, but also by
Mm-hmm.
brutally incomplete intel, because who is in this room? Is it the mural? No. It's Harlow, who has been waiting for the moment to use her voice.
Mm-hmm. Awkward.
Tragic. So one of my notes is that this is the most I've ever related to Lara, and I resent it. Because
just the fact that she like wants to go.
No. So whenever everyone's protesting against her, like going, because she's the most skilled person, but like for combat training, but they're like, girl, you got sickness in you can't be doing all that. She's like, fine. I know you're all only doing this because you care about me or whatever, but I still don't like it. And I'm like, that's don't tell me what to do ever.
Yeah.
But
she said, I just want it on record.
You're trying to tell.
She said, I want it on record that I don't appreciate this.
Like, oh yeah, how sweet. You care about me. So you're like, what if I want to just run and do things? What if I don't care? What if I push myself to the limit? Huh? Oh, so you're gonna bitch me? Okay. Thanks for the love, I guess. Like, it just, so that was me. And also the point where, like, having fashionable coats. But the final Lara and I relatability thing was when Amari and Jaden are about to transport. Elsie gives them hugs, and Lara just nods to them like, "Yeah, that's
right." Y'all got it.
Like, I'll see you on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm hugging you before a mission, that means that I don't feel really good about the mission, and I don't want to do that. Like, you know, like,
right.
I don't really want to hug.
I trust y'all.
Yeah, y'all got it. So that was funny to me. Talking about the fashion, the Du Bois brand quality holding up for like spy missions. Like, honestly, any opportunity there is to praise fashion, and y'all seen me do it because I've done it for Miss Chamberlain in her closet. And like, this is the importance of good fashion, because Du Bois can be like, it might be one like size fits all, but it means that stuff. Lara is shorter than Jaden, but taller than Amari, and yet when those coats reformate themselves to give the benefits that they need to both of those people. And I love good fashion.
Yeah, I wonder. It makes me wonder what Du Bois is like if that's her supernatural ability.
That makes sense.
But yeah, no, it's super cool.
Yeah. Okay. Peekaboo saying that he died ready made me wonder, can his parents currently reproduce like in their ghostly undead forms? Like, because Peekaboo, if I have this right, they were all alive once, including Peekaboo, who's their only child, and then they all.
No, I think they had a daughter.
Oh, they had
a daughter too.
The daughter is like, she chose to go to the afterlife after a certain like 100 years or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a full family that was alive once, died, and they stayed together as a family in the afterlife. No. Well, this is in the afterlife. So if they wanted to have could they have a kid that was undead because they're undead? If they try to have a kid, would it be a live kid and then they'd have to be a dead? Like, what can they reproduce?
I don't know. I assume not.
Same, because it's been hundreds of years.
But
so we would have might have known that already. Yeah. But also,
I assume no, but I don't know.
Like, if this is the same world where Mr. Salt and Mrs. Pepper can have paprika, then
True. Anything is possible.
And finally, I I want to talk about being thwarted and how cold, how chilling, how world shaking it is that Amari and them went through all of that. Hannah turned to stone before her eyes. Lucas dropped off out of sight and looking down bad. Amari just had the worst confrontation she's ever had with her brother and stunned a kid into silence. Only to get to this goal. This is the only opportunity she thinks she's ever going to get to thwart. She's trying to trying to thwart Dylan. She's getting thwarted herself because who is there? The person that she thought that it was neutralized, that they didn't have to worry about no more.
It's just awkward. The plot twists are twisting for sure. Like,
but what does that do to the mind? Like, how do you?
She needs a break. She needs much more time to like process, and she probably needs a nap. Some healthy food. She's running on hot dogs and pizza and corn dogs.
You saying that again made my stomach
also didn't Jaden and Elsie go off while they were training? They went off to have mac and cheese and fried chicken. Not a single vegetable between them.
What are those?
This is the same day. This is the same day. Just stomach bubbling.
And ain't thinking nothing about it. Just living it.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, Harlow being there is really okay.
Harlow
then
that's upsetting.
Yeah. Who is your MVP?
Peekaboo. Not only because that's a Kendrick song.
I know, I've been really trying not to do it, but
I can't not.
Every time the song pops in my head.
Especially because of the Super Bowl performance, and he literally was like not in the camera
jumped
and
up,
went
peekaboo.
And I just love it. I just and then just the timing of us reading this book with Peekaboo all throughout. Like I feel good about it. But that's not the only reason why I made Peekaboo MVP. I made him MVP because he is about that life. And I love people who they show up the way that they say they're going to show out. And like not only in like a honesty, trust building kind of way, but in a legit like the strength of your character. Because he's a whole ghost. He could be like, I don't give two craps about what's about to happen here. Y'all, that sounds like a living person problem. I'm gonna float her along and do whatever I want. It's so funny to me that he chose. It seems like he was listening in to all the stuff that was happening among the crew, and he was like, "This sounds like a very up and moving kind of life. Like, we're dipping and dabbing and doing all kinds of things. Sign me up
excitement.
For that." Yeah. No, House of Horrors. I've been living through this for centuries. That's bored. That's played. What's new?
Right.
Jumping into what these kids don't know anything what they're doing. I need to be part of that.
Yeah, definitely.
That's just so there's so many ways he could have been taking advantage of Jaden and Amari and like being just like a complete capital a-hole. But the fact that he's just like he just wants to be in where the people are. He just wants to be in a room where it happens, and that's fun for me. I just appreciate that he's that kind of ghost. It's fun for me, and he's like willing to use his ghostly. Like he's like, I got multiple advantages. Let me list them. Like, you know what? Not even gonna list them. I'm gonna just show you, and we're gonna go from there.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah, I remember being when I was reading it the first time, like when he was like, I'm gonna hunt Jaden. I remember being like, yikes, this could go. Like it's like this might not be a good thing, especially because he seemed so annoying before that. But like, then it's like, oh, okay, he's using it for their benefit. That's a different thing.
Yeah. It's a horse of a different color.
I made Magnus my MVP. We talked about it, just like his support of Amari. I think that like she again, like she was looking for that support in Quentin, and the fact, and like she hasn't found it, but I'm glad that that doesn't mean that she doesn't have any support from like adults in her life. And yeah, I appreciate that at this point he's just like, yeah, I trust whatever it is she's about to do, so I'm not gonna stop her. And I think also, again, the acceptance that like I can't stop her, so I could either give her
Yeah.
the tools she needs to succeed, or I'm just like being another roadblock in
Obstacle.
what she's already gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I think the only thing like I really want Magnus to be recognized in, in this book in particular.
Mm,
The only reason I didn't put him to vote is I'm like, I really appreciate that that's who he is, but knowing how little they plan behind doing these things, um, I just I can't in good conscience, like you're a whole director and you didn't ask no questions. And
no, that's, but I
I
feel like
know
he
I
can't
know
because
why
then
you
he
want
has,
partial liability, but you can't give
yeah,
her like a
but
outline
I
sheet or
agree.
something for making, because like I don't like this.
Yeah. No, that's real. I do think it would have been better if he could like walk them through the plan, but also like I understand why he had to just
I'm like,
pretend like he
there's
did
no
not see it.
outline. Like you just like send an email. Like this is an outline
Right.
that we give agents. Since you're advancing, check this
Mm,
out. Use it.
right. Yeah. Who did you binge?
I benched Quentin for being a prat. Um
Mhm.
and most importantly, a hypocrite. Because I don't like
Yeah.
hypocrites. And I, as much as you heard me um, empathize with him, he really is handling this so badly.
Mhm.
And it's just funny because it's like I know like the way that Jaden and Amari both looked up to him for who he was, like, yeah, that a lot of that can be put on a pedestal. Then I'm not seeing the full range of like what you're going through, blah blah blah. But like that you have like this goodwill with these folks and you're not checking in, you're not doing anything. Like you're just gonna just
Right.
like, oh, you're gonna rest on the fact, well, they know my heart. No, we don't do that.
Mhm. It's not how
You
that works.
can't do that. Mm-mm.
Mhm.
I also low key am mentioning Director Van Helsing, but I also don't know. Like he didn't do enough for me to want to. Okay, but he can't. This is all his doing. Like all the setup,
Yeah.
the cameras on the like everything. I'm gonna put it on Van Helsing, but also I can't.
Mm,
I kind of can't because I don't know that for sure. So like a low
yeah.
key light finish for Director Van Helsing.
Mhm. Yeah, I also benched Quentin for like the reasons that you said. I just feel like he needs to do some unlearning and also needs to handle his issues. Like he just woke up and jumped right into the thing. He needed to like, y'all got counseling or something, like something.
He didn't have a psychological assessment before y'all restored, and like they're like, oh,
Right.
it's a
Well,
special
no,
time and
because he got
circumstances.
some. Yeah, because I think Harlow
No,
moved him.
he was in hiding, so he was like on whatever, and then
Well, no,
but
no,
when he
no. I mean, like he was in the thing. He got moved to to Amari's house. He got like kicked out of the thing while he was still unconscious,
okay, but
and then he
whenever they're
woke up at the
restoring
house.
special agents at like before,
Oh yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, when he got back. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. They didn't
like
like
stop.
do anything. They were just like, he's back and he got his thing. Yeah. It. Yeah.
If
Anyway,
y'all have already
he's.
neutralized Harlow, who was the accentuating circumstance, why doesn't this man have a psychological assessment that he needs to be approved from before he
Mhm.
returns to agent status?
Mhm. Yeah. He just. Yeah. He
The
needs
ethics
some.
of that department, and guess who I'm blaming? Van
Mhm.
Helsing.
Mhm.
He's probably all like macho, machismo. Oh, we don't need nothing about no stupid psychological assessment.
Yeah, you do. Mm.
Real bad.
Mhm. Yeah.
And on that note, thank you all for listening. Join us next week when we discuss chapters 22 through 24. Do you want to join us live? You can do that when you become a BNC baddie and join our live recordings on Sundays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. 5 p.m. Eastern, not Easter. That is a day.
Wizard Team is part of the Black Nerds Create Collective. If you want to keep up with our content, you can check out our website at blacknerdscreate.com and follow us on Instagram and Tumblr at WizardTeamPod and at Black Nerds Create. Bye.
Bye.